What's going on, YouTube? Back with another video, Big Bear Boxing Squad. Man, I want to start off by saying I appreciate everybody that's been in the comment section, and just showing a lot of love to the videos that I've been doing. Man, it's dope. That's all I can say. It's purely just I'm grateful for the subscribers. I took a hiatus for a minute. I thought was a good idea at first. Kind of got burned out real quick by doing working a different type of job. But now that I'm able to have a little bit more free time to do it, I decided to jump back into it. But it's just been so much love, man. People subscribing, people liking, people commenting. That's what this channel is going to be about, man. Sharing what you think, your opinion on certain topics that I bring up. But today's topic is going to be about boxing versus UFC structure, championship structure wise. It seems like it's just so much chaos in boxing right now with the belt system. These young fighters, man, they come a long way. They have dreams of being a champion, and unfortunately, nobody knows who's really champion. That's the saddest part about boxing right now. And that's something that needs to be fixed and fixed fast. The reason why I say boxing versus the UFC is because the UFC has a better structural program when it comes to championship fights. When it comes to UFC, we know who champion. It's not 1,000 people out here running around with different types of belts or another type. It's just a mess in boxing. So in the UFC, if you got a champion in one weight class, you know who's the champion. He's labeled as champion, and then you have 1 through 10. So 1 through 10 got to fight it out to try to get to the top man. And I think that's how boxing should be. That's just in my own opinion. But you got 3 or 4, I think it's like 4 different sanctioning bodies in boxing, if I ain't mistaken. But it's just so out of hand that on the boxing side, it just don't make any sense. For instance, Devin Haney, a lot of you guys probably been hearing about Devin Haney getting demoted to a Pride champion. What is a Pride champion? I don't know. I ain't never heard of it. But if you're gonna run a business like that, you got to know what you're doing. If you start out with something good, it's like going to school. You start out with an 8. You start out with an A. You go through the year, and if you decide to do your work or not, that's what determines your grade at the end of the year. So in boxing, lately they have been starting off with an 8, and now they just going all over the place with the champion with the belt system. Like I said, I bring back Devin Haney because getting demoted as a young fighter, he's only 23 years old, and get demoted like that, it takes a lot of steam out of you. It's like you start questioning yourself, like, what am I doing here? And to take something from any champion in boxing is a shame. But the UFC, on the other hand, everybody always get caught up into wins and losses. The reason why a lot of them guys lose is because the best is always fighting the best. You never know what's going to happen until these guys get in there. No matter what the weight division it is, when you have a championship fight or 3 or 4 championship fights on a card, which I have seen, I think I've probably seen like maybe 3 championships in a night. We all know those fighters. A lot of times in boxing, you get a championship fight, but you may be fighting a C-level fighter or a B-level fighter. And UFC, you getting both the guys are A-level fighters for a reason. They fighting for the championship for a reason. We know who those fighters are. But in boxing, you may have, I done seen so many fights where I don't even know who the guy is. I never know where they came from through the amateurs. It's kind of hard, A lot of times it's up to the fans to do research on who these fighters are. So it's a little bit difficult to keep up with everybody in boxing because boxing is bigger. That's the reason why they get paid a little bit more. And UFC is just one entity to where they have a roster. They have, so many fighters on the roster. So you're not going to pay your bottom guy the same as you paying your top guy. But the structural thing about the UFC that I like is just the championship format that they have. You have to earn your way to the top. In boxing, you could be, you can earn your way to the top, but once you get to the top and you become a champion, and then things start getting complicated because, like the WBC, to me, it's like the at the forefront of being just a bizarre belt. That belt should stand for a lot, because a lot of champions done had that belt. But when you demote one fighter from having a WBC championship, so you telling me Wilder, Muhammad Ali, you telling me Mike Tyson, Vander Holyfield, Sugar Ray Leonard, Lennox Lewis, and Bernard Hopkins, or whoever else had this belt, you mean to tell me these guys ain't true champions? They all Pride championships, because now you got a Pride championship, and then you got a freaking franchise championship. Like, what does that even mean? What could you guys do to clean that up on the boxing side? The way I figure you clean it up is you have one championship. You can have your promoters and stuff like that. You can keep boxing the way it is in some regards, but you get it to a point to where if a man is climbing up the ranks fairly, you always putting on the best fights, and a lot of times you find yourself paying for pay-per-views for guys that you don't even know, even with the undercard. And that's why you pay for pay-per-view to find out who these fighters are. Like I said, it's up to us as fans. If you're a true fan, do your research on these fighters, because a lot of these guys, they work their butt off, and I think a lot of them do deserve to be on pay-per-view. But on top of that, then you got to pay for sanctioning fees. You paying sanctioning fees, and you don't even know if you're a real champion or not in boxing. And the UFC is just a little bit, I think it's way more fair. I don't want to get into the discussion over pay and all that other stuff, because boxing been around so much longer. And that regards is just structured different. You got a roster system with the UFC, and then you got a bunch of people just all over the place in boxing. So it's a little bit different. But you guys get in the comments, man, and let me know, how do you guys feel about the championship belts in boxing versus UFC? Which structural way did you like it? What ways do you think that needs to be fixed? And then if somebody come undisputed, say they missing only one belt, like Cambosis, he got, I guess they call him undisputed now, but Devin Haney had the belt before he did, the actual WBC championship belt. So, do you think it's right what the WBC is doing, and all these other IBF belts and stuff like that? Do you guys think it's right? How do you guys think boxing can clean it up? So, my biggest fuss is just, you got to treat all fighters fair. Hate the Cambosis or any other champion. Even when Vasyl Lomachenko was a champion, I think they all deserve it. But calling and saying, hey, I need a franchise championship so I can skip over a fighter, you'll never get that in the UFC. If you want to be the man, you got to beat the man in the UFC. There's nowhere in the world you're going to skip over another fighter unless they sick or something happened. And then you may get your interim championship, but they not undisputed. But you don't have so much confusion that you don't know who you fighting, from one fight to the next. Or who's going to be champion from one fight to the next. Like Kamaru Usman, we know him. Everybody knows him. I'm more of a boxing fan, but I'm also a fan of the UFC, though. So I keep up with some of that stuff. But Kamaru Usman, he defended his title 5 times. We know he's still champion. You do that in boxing, they may demote you for no reason. Unless you got the popularity on the outside of the ring and people just more noticeable. But all of this, franchise championships, guys, what you think about it? Like I said, get in the comments, man. You guys been doing a great job with that. Get in the comments. Let me know what you think about the mess in boxing. Do you think it's a mess? Do you like the system? Do you think they need to change or tweak the system? Do you think boxing needs to be up under one umbrella? There's a bunch of factors that could clean a lot of this mess up, and these guys that work hard, especially these young guys, or even these old guys that take time to do, to miss out on their families and put on a show. It takes a lot of preparation to do that. So if you start missing out on certain things, you get to that upper echelon, either you missing out on a championship, or even when you get a championship, I want to feel like I'm a champion. I don't want to feel like I'm some Pride champion or some franchise champion, just making stuff up on the fly. Like I say, even the WBC is a business. They make money off sanctioning fees and stuff like that. So if you keep watering down your belt, what's the point in even having that belt? Should the IBF be the main belt? Because a lot of people look at that green belt because that's the most noticeable belt out there. Or do fighters just make up their own belt? Do you go to celebrity boxing and just carry around a random belt. Can we get that crazy? As far as as far as thinking about boxing, is that cool? I don't think so. If I was champion, I would want to be known as the actual champion. I wouldn't want to known as no other type of entity other than champion. And say the number one and number two guy, they kind of battling for position. I want to know that I'm fighting the best always. A lot of times these people become champion and they not fighting the best when it comes to boxing. But like I said, on the other end, you got UFC, where when I pay per view for UFC, I know exactly what I'm getting. I know either it's worth it or it ain't. Most of the time it's worth it. Probably 98% of the time it's worth it, and I think they do really well over there. But boxing, if you pay for a card, you might get 3 or 4 fights that you don't even know where these fighters come from, and I think that's not. I think you got to do your research if you're a true boxing fan. But a lot of times, if you're not on TV, how do we know? You can't know every single fighter, and I think the reason why is because of how they got boxing set up nowadays. Either you got either you got certain people that say, like the WBC, they got people that they want to be known as champion, like Canelo, like Cambosis, or Terrence Crawford, they got Errol Spence. Those guys got such a big name that you couldn't deny them even if you wanted to. Even when Deontay Wilder was champion, you could not deny him because his name was so big. But when it kind of kids on the other end, with the younger fighters, when Shakur or Davis do all Davis, Gervonta Tank Davis fights. His championship, do they count? We don't know. Is Gervonta Tank Davis fighting the best because of the metric system that they running? We don't know. That's I wish it was up under one umbrella. You could almost structure it to where you could still have the belts, but once a person have it, they are the champion with that belt. You don't always have to take away the IBF and all the other belts that exist, or the WBC. You don't have to take them away, but once, say, if I got a belt, if I got all 3 belts or all 4 belts or whatever, people know that I'm champion of each belt class or whatever, however you want to put it. I'm the man. So if you want to beat me, you got to beat me. But I don't want, I have a belt, my man over here got a belt, my man over here got a belt, and then you pay per view and you this man ain't even a real champion. He's a paper champion. He walk around with a belt just to kind of sell tickets. I think people were gonna buy pay-per-view for good fights. And like I say, man, get in the comment section. Let me know what you think. I think it's a good topic. I think it's something that needs to be talked about more. It is a little bit of a downside to boxing, even though I'm a huge fan of boxing. But it's a little bit of a downside. But other than that, I think that boxing can be cleaned up a little bit as far as the metric system, the belt system of how they got it. Like I say, when I was doing a regular job, what would happen is you would have other companies come in and they would view what you're doing and stuff like that, and the companies, they would know, even though they would be in kind of similar backgrounds or business ventures or whatever. But you will have these people come in and they'll view and they'll talk about it so they can build together. And, I think for combat sports in the whole, I wouldn't mind going over to UFC, talking with some of them guys. How do you, because, you have crossed paths before. You got, Mayweather and Conor McGregor. That was a great show. I paid for it. I thought it was dope. So, I would go over there across the street and say, hey, what are you guys doing that we could probably implement? But we about to end this video, man. I think it's a great topic, man. Let me know what you guys think. I want to say, give a shout out to everybody that's following, man. Give a shout out to everybody showing love in the comment section. Man, you guys are doing such a good job, man. And it's all been positive, man. I've told people, man, you make a great point that I wasn't even thinking about, man. So I want to make it more like a free channel to where you get the freedom to think how you want to think, and not me try to put some craziness in your brain to make you think like me, because that's never going to happen. I look at boxing from a different angle, but me hearing it from a different angle from you guys makes the channel better. It makes it a channel about everybody instead of just the person that's doing the channel. So as big as this channel can get, man, who knows where it could get to. I think it turned into a podcast. It could, I got, like I said, I got a bunch of different little things that's going through my mind, but I got to get the base. I got to get the customer base, the consumers and stuff like that first. So it can turn into a pretty cool boxing channel, something that's totally different than what you see every day. We talk about more of the art of boxing instead of the drama of boxing and stuff like that, and maybe we can influence a lot of other true fans or gain true fans, from just looking at boxing just for a show and look at it for what the art is. I think is becoming a lost art in some terms, but I think with me and you guys, we could get it back to where it needs to be by talking about it. YouTube is a phenomenal is a phenomenal way for anybody to showcase their feelings and just put the word out there. So shout out to YouTube. But shout out to you guys, man. A bunch of love, man. I have no complaints. I have organically gained a lot of followers through what I'm doing. So I just want to give a shout out to everybody that's in the comment section and stuff like that, man. But one thing I want to stress: please like the video. If you leave a comment, like the video also, because what it does is it helps the YouTube algorithm. My videos will be shared more. You can get in conversation with other fans that's on the page. All that stuff. So if you leave a comment, please share it. Please tell your buddies, tell your if they true boxing fans. We only want true boxing fans. I don't want no half in, half out. But if you're a true boxing fan, if you love boxing, and these guys that's in the comment section, I know they know their stuff because the way they talk about some of these fighters. But let's go ahead and end this video. But before we do, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Down below, hit the notification bell. And if you want to shop itcomes, you can see a little bit of my gear that I be wearing throughout these videos and stuff like that. I got hats and stuff, so please go check it out. And I don't want to call it merch, really. I want to call it a clothing line. Everybody do merch. The way my stuff is made is high quality, so I think it's a little bit better than just handing stuff out just to make $1. But please go check it out at itcomes. Everything will be down in the links below. And also, I'm doing a video upcoming on Errol Spence. I want to do one on how great he is and how you guys view Errol Spence, since we haven't seen him in a while. But let's go ahead and cut this one short. And can't wait to keep the conversation going.